Well, there's really two types of market intelligence that are important for us to have access to. The first is around consumer trends. That can include consumer media activity, audience figures, time spent by platform, technology adoption, that kind of thing. Also having the most up-to-date market intelligence in terms of spend and pricing is really important for us from an investment standpoint. That really allows us to understand market trends in terms of things like channels, media partners, and advertising category spend.
How do you use standard media index, ad spend, and revenue data to help you with that process?
Yeah, well, we're always looking for the freshest market intelligence from an ad spend and pricing perspective when it comes to investing. And until recently, Canada's really been underserved in that area. But more recently, services like SMI have come into the market that have given us the ability to benchmark our spend versus the industry, which is important because it tells us where we're leaning forward in terms of the growth areas and where we might be, a little bit behind the curve. And, tools like SMI also give us a leg up when we're negotiating with partners. It's really another tool that's in our toolbox that we can leverage.
So what are some of the challenges that your clients face? The media landscape is changing really quickly. There's a lot of opportunities for investment. What are some of their big challenges?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges that our clients face and that we face from a day-to-day operations. For example, balancing short and long-term media objectives. What's the right balance there for the client? Making sure we have the right investment levels and the right mix of channels to meet those objectives. And we also want to make sure that we're buying effective media at efficient rates. Not necessarily the cheapest inventory because it also has to do the job. From a consumer standpoint, we want to make sure we're keeping track of trends and investing where our target consumer is spending their time. And because advertising, as you said, is changing so rapidly, becoming so easy to avoid, we test and measure and evaluate with media partners and platforms on an ongoing basis. One way is through our IPG Media Lab, and just making sure that we're constantly, optimizing creative and spend. And then, making more advertising more relevant, making sure we're connecting with consumers in those right environments at the right time with the right message and content. And that's an always-on process because those things change so much. And then all of this while we're trying to combat competitive threats. We want to make sure that our clients have the highest share of voice in market to maintain that top of mind awareness. So SMI is just one of those tools that we use to help uncover the total picture of the Canadian media landscape. How and where advertisers are spending their dollars. And it's sort of the 50,000-foot view that we take before we start to develop client investment strategies.
Chris, let me ask you, why is SMI's data safety and client agency confidentiality platform so valuable to Mediabrands?
Yeah, that's actually one of the biggest questions that we had for SMI before we signed on with them, because client confidentiality is so important to us above all else. That and the accuracy of the data. We're entrusted with millions of dollars of our clients' money, and the way that we invest it has to remain confidential to us. So we spend a lot of time understanding how SMI ingests their customer data, how they process it, and what data privacy safeguards they put in place, and really what the final output would look like, how our information would roll up into the overall deliverable. We really had to be satisfied that the product provided the media industry and Mediabrands in particular with useful and actionable market intelligence, but that was also protecting client confidentiality.
Finally, Chris, how does the SMI data help you make smart decisions in this increasingly cross-platform media world?
Right. Well, we benchmark our spend by media channel and media partner versus the industry. So SMI has been hugely valuable in the past 12 months in particular, when clients started to pull back ad spend in Q2 as a result of the COVID outbreak. And SMI helped us to evaluate how big that drop was going to be, and then when it would start to bounce back. Um, SMI helped us understand those fluctuations in ad spend also versus the other markets where they track ad spend. We saw that in the data that ad spend in Canada dropped much more significantly than in other English speaking markets. And that really helped us to budget as we moved forward into 2021. The industry moves so rapidly with new digital technologies and partners. Consumer adoption is happening faster than ever. Again, with COVID, we saw an overnight drop almost in the way that people were consuming media. Certain types of media dropped, like out of home and cinema and radio, while others really increased in their exposure, like online video, digital audio streaming. Many social platforms took off, and we needed to keep track of all of those changes on a regular basis as regions opened and closed, make sure the agency planners were kept abreast of all of those changes, and so that they could adjust their plans on the fly where possible. And that same thinking applies where, with the type of spend intelligence that SMI provides us, there's peaks and valleys in terms of spend, seasonality differences depending on the category, and different channels and platforms that the industry is investing in. So SMI helps us keep on top of those trends.